The musket ball whistled past Merriweather's left ear. She stifled a cry and threw herself to the ground, heart pounding. A moment's pause. Then a man's voice echoed back from the gatehouse battlements. "What the blazes!" followed by grunts and curses from his comrades and the heavy clump of approaching boots. Merriweather snatched a breath and shrank back into her hiding place against the turret wall as a shadow loomed across the roof tiles in front of her. The footsteps halted. "Ah, there it is!" There was a creak of leather as the shadow sank into a squat. "What I wouldn't give to blast that damned roundhead sharpshooter off his perch to kingdom come!" "Aye, him and the rest of those rebel dogs," a voice cried in reply. "Stick it in your musket and fire it back at him." Loud cheers echoed around the rooftop, bouncing against the walls and battlements. The first man growled his agreement, then lifted to his feet and hurried back towards his comrades. Heaving a quick sigh, Merriweather touched a finger to her ear, then examined it. No trace of any blood. She'd been lucky. She glanced at the statue of the lion, gazing fiercely out at the distant horizon from its stone plinth in the centre of the gatehouse roof. It was said that hundreds of years ago, one of her Pryce ancestors had fought alongside King Richard I, the so-called Coeur de Lion, and adopted the beast as the family emblem in honour of the king's bravery. Soon after, a legend was born that as long as the lion stood guard, the manor of Compton Blaze would never fall. The creature was more battered now than when the house had first been built. 2 centuries of sun, rain and snow, plus the more recent peppering of shot and musket ball strikes from the enemy, had seen to that. But he still stood proud and strong, claws gripping the Pryce family shield, jaws fixed in a wide, sharp-toothed roar. And while he did, Merriweather felt her own burst of pride at the thought. They would too. She waited a moment longer, then, steeling herself, edged forwards again to get a better view. The soldiers on guard, 10 in total, were strung out around the battlements, muskets poking through slits in the weathered yellow-grey stonework, bodies crouched and heads ducked low. Merriweather bit her lip. She was desperate to see what was happening on the other side of the walls, but if the men spotted her, she'd be marched away to face the inevitable scolding from her stepmother, Lady Eleanor. Still, she'd made it this far. She wasn't going to give up now. She'd been itching to come up here ever since the Roundhead troops had arrived and set up camp at the far end of the deer park just over a week ago. But her stepmother had kept her busy. If she wasn't studying scripture and taking French lessons with her tutor, Mr. Anthony, then she was forced to spend hours on end in the long gallery with Agnes, stitching her sampler, or else cooped up in her chamber practicing the lute. And, as if that wasn't enough, she was expected to keep her half-brother and sister, Robert and baby Maria, entertained too.